Welcome to the channel Darkness in the Night. Before the story begins, please remember that everything you are about to hear is entirely fictional. Created for storytelling and entertainment purposes. Yet there are things that, even when fictional, can still send a chill down your spine when night falls. My name is Nam. That year, I was 11 years old. My hometown was Ghi Phong Commune, Ghi Loc District, Nha Anh Province, a rural area nestled beside the Lam River. Its waters heavy with red silt. At night, the river wind carried the stench of wet mud and a cold, damp breath that clung stubbornly to your skin. By day, my village was peaceful, but when darkness fell, the chirping of insects blended with the sound of river water slapping the banks, as if someone were whispering the names of the living. My grandfather, Tam, was a well-known shaman along the Lam River. People said he had been struck by lightning while herding buffalo in his youth. He didn't die, but from that day on, he could tell fortunes, summon spirits, and save drowning victims. I didn't understand any of that. I only remember that whenever he performed rituals, the house filled with the smell of incense mixed with cold ash, a scent that, years later, would still make my heart race the moment I caught a trace of it. My grandparents' house shared a wall with my uncle's. He was my father's older brother. His wife, Aunt Lan, was a quiet, gentle woman. The two of them struggled with infertility for many years before finally having a son, T, who was 2 years younger than me. My uncle worked as a local official and was often away at meetings, sometimes gone for an entire week. Aunt Lan stayed home, farming, raising chickens, and caring for the child. On summer afternoons, I often saw her sitting listlessly on the porch, staring toward the river with distant eyes. Then rumors spread like weeds after rain. People whispered that my uncle had a mistress in a neighboring commune. Each murmur was like a dull knife, slowly cutting into Aunt Lan's endurance. From then on, their house was no longer peaceful. Arguments, smashing furniture, and breaking glass echoed late into the night, sounding dry and sharp, like bones striking stone. T was terrified. Every night, he clutched his pillow and ran over to sleep beside me. One afternoon, the sky turned strangely overcast. Gray clouds hung low over the rooftops, and a cold gust rose suddenly from the river. I was playing marbles in the yard when Aunt Lan stepped out of the house, holding a coil of black electrical wire. Her eyes were sunken, her face pale, like someone who hadn't slept for days. Nam, her voice was hoarse, her gaze unfocused, called T to come eat dinner for me. I'm going to the river for a bit. I'll be back soon. I nodded. As she turned away, I caught a strange smell, metallic, mixed with wet mud. I didn't understand it, only felt a chill crawl up my spine. That night, dinner was set, but Aunt Lan never returned. The oil lamp flickered, wind slipped through the cracks in the door, whining softly. My grandfather was holding his bowl when his hand suddenly began to shake. The bowl fell and shattered on the tile floor. His face drained of color. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the cold. He stood up, lit incense, and murmured prayers. The smoke thickened, stinging the nose. After a while, he turned back, his voice heavy, as if a stone were pressing on his chest. She's gone. His eyes were clouded, his voice rough. We need to find the body. The whole family froze. To the south, along the Lam River, under the big banyan tree, the relatives gathered, carrying torches into the night. Fog hung thick like smoke, wrapping around our legs. Dogs howled in the distance, their cries mournful and unsettling. Near dawn, the torchlight revealed a human figure swaying beneath the banyan tree by the river. Aunt Lan had hanged herself. Her eyes were wide open, her tongue protruding, blood seeping from her nose and ears. staining her collar dark. When the body was brought home, everyone was afraid. Her eyes wouldn't close, staring straight up at the rafters. No one dared approach. My grandfather looked at me for a long time. "Come here," he said quietly, sternly. My hands trembled, my heart pounding. I reached out and stroked her eyelids. Cold, cold like touching a stone submerged in water for years. But strangely, her eyes slowly closed. I burst into tears. After the funeral, strange things began to happen. Every night, T talked in his sleep. In the middle of the night, he would sit straight up, eyes shut tight, his voice flat and hollow. "Mom's back. Mom's calling me to go play by the river." A child's voice, but icy enough to raise goosebumps. One night, I was asleep when I heard the rustling of banana leaves in the yard. The stench of muddy water flooded my nose. I opened my eyes and saw Aunt Lan standing among the banana trees. Her hair hung loose and tangled, a deep purple ligature mark circling her neck. She moved closer to the window. Her ice-cold hand grabbed mine and yanked hard. "Come with me," she whispered, her breath cold against my face. Her purple fingers brushed my eyelids. A freezing sensation shot straight into my skull. I screamed, and then everything went black. I burned with fever, drifting in and out of consciousness. My grandfather performed a major ritual. Incense smoke filled the house. Mulberry branches burned with a harsh, acrid stench. Mrs. Tu, the fish vendor from the market, suddenly collapsed, eyes rolling white, mouth twisted. "Watch your mouth," a hoarse, venom-filled voice growled. "You talk too much, you killed me unjustly." My grandfather lashed out with the mulberry branch. The noose was dragged out and burned. The banyan tree was cut down, its stump buried far from the village. Before the ancestral altar, he placed his hand on my head. "You'll follow this path, the ancestors will protect you," he said softly, sadly, as if entrusting me with something. After that, Aunt Lan never returned. But on some nights, when the moon is dim, T can still be seen standing among the banana trees, staring into the darkness, smiling faintly, as if someone is calling him from the direction of the Lam River. After that time, I survived. The fever receded slowly, as if something was reluctant to leave my body right away. I became gaunt, my lips cracked and dry. Every night, I dreamed of the Lam River rising high, its water thick and murky, the stench of mud heavy in the air. In my dreams, an ice-cold woman's hand pulled me downward, while above me the canopy of the banyan tree rustled in the wind. My grandfather forbade me from going to the riverbank again. The banana grove behind the house was fenced off. The banyan tree where Aunt Lan had hanged herself was cut down. But its stump remained, blackened, like a huge scar in the earth. Every time I passed by, I felt a chill under my feet, as if the soil were still wet. After the funeral, T became unusually quiet. He no longer cried, no longer asked for his mother. But at night, he often sat bolt upright, staring into the yard with empty eyes, his lips moving as if he were talking to someone. Once, I heard him chuckle softly, a dry, hollow sound, nothing like a child's laughter. "Mom's standing out there," he whispered, his gaze fixed on the darkness. "She says she's coming home soon." A shiver ran through me. Outside, the wind rocked the oil lamp back and forth, bamboo shadows stretching across the wall, twisted like long, bony arms. My grandfather knew the matter was not over. He said Aunt Lan's spirit was bound here not only by resentment, but by something else, something that tied her soul tightly to this land. That night, he spread a mat in the middle of the house and prepared the offerings. Incense smoke curled upward, burning my eyes. The smells of incense, ash, and mulberry branches blended together, thick and suffocating. Listen carefully. His voice dropped, stern and low. From now on, whatever you see, you must not speak carelessly. And you must not be afraid. Fear is what lets it cling to you. I nodded, though my hands were icy cold. At midnight, the wind rose in sudden gusts. From the yard came the sound of the Lam River, not the familiar lapping of water against the bank, but the slow, heavy sound of someone wading through it. Then the stench of mud rushed into the house, so strong it made me nauseous. The wooden door creaked open. A figure stood there. I didn't need to see the face to know who it was. Long hair hung loose, covering half her face. Her neck tilted unnaturally to one side, the dark purple mark of the noose clearly visible in the weak lamplight. "My child," the hoarse voice dragged on, cold and hollow, "why won't you let your mother come inside?" T jolted upright, his eyes glowing strangely. He stepped off the mat, his bare feet touching the ground without making a sound. "Mom, you really came back?" His voice was dazed as he reached his hands forward. My grandfather shouted, his voice booming over the howling wind. "Stop!" The mulberry branch in his hand slammed hard against the floor with a sharp crack. The figure at the door retreated, her mouth twisting into a warped smile. "You can stop me tonight," the voice hissed, thick with malice, "but you can't stop me forever." The wind died instantly. The door slammed shut. The stench vanished, but the air inside the house turned colder, as if something had just left behind a lingering chill in every shadow. The next morning, my grandfather took me to the riverbank. Dense fog covered the water completely. He pointed at the muddy shore. Bare footprints, small and long, were clearly imprinted, leading straight from the water into the village. "It hasn't gone," he said quietly, heavily. "It's being held here by people's mouths." I didn't understand, until Mrs. Tu, the fish vendor, died suddenly 3 days later. She was found dead in her house, mouth gaping open, eyes rolled white, both hands clawing at her own throat as if strangling herself. Before she died, neighbors said she had been screaming all night. "Don't pull me." I only spoke carelessly, her voice had shrieked in panic. Mrs. Tu's funeral was held in haste. No one dared cry out loud. That night, the village was eerily quiet, so quiet that you could hear leaves falling in the yard. I thought everything was over, but it wasn't. One evening, I saw T standing in the banana grove. The dim moonlight cast his shadow long across the ground. He stood there for a long time, completely motionless. "What are you doing?" I asked, my voice trembling, my heart pounding. He turned around. His eyes were no longer those of a child. "Mom said," his voice was flat. "I see. Tomorrow she'll take me far away, to a place where no one says bad things about her anymore." A strong gust of wind made the banana leaves slap against each other, sounding like slow, deliberate clapping in the darkness. I stood frozen, watching his figure fade into the grove, where the darkness thickened, like a mouth opening wide, already waiting. After that night, T disappeared. By morning, no one in the family could find him. The mat where he had slept lay empty, still bearing a small hollow. His sandals were neatly placed at the foot of the bed. The door was unlocked, the wooden latch skewed to one side as if someone had shoved it open in a hurry. Outside in the yard, the ground was soaked even though it hadn't rained the night before, and the stench of mud hung thick in the air. My grandfather stood on the porch for a long time, staring toward the banana grove. The wind lifted the hem of his robe, his hunched back looking smaller than ever. She took the boy with her, his voice dropped, heavy and low. "Last night, I was careless." The entire clan split up to search. Some went to the riverbank. others into the banana grove. Others waded through the fields. The Lam River that morning was murky, its water flowing more slowly than usual, making a deep, gurgling sound, as if someone were breathing beneath the surface. Along the muddy shore, small bare footprints appeared in a line, leading straight into the water before vanishing. No one dared go deeper. The villagers stood still, wind blowing, no one speaking. I stared at the river, my heart pounding. His words from the night before echoing in my head, cold as a blade. By noon, they found him. The boy's body was caught in a cluster of water hyacinths not far from the bank. His eyes were shut tight, his lips bluish purple, faint bruises on his neck like the marks of an adult hand. There was no loud crying. The women only covered their mouths and sobbed softly, their eyes darting around in terror, as if afraid someone might be standing among the crowd. That night, my grandfather refused to bury the body right away. He said it had to be kept for one night, to wait for the right hour. Inside the house, incense burned continuously. The smoke didn't rise or fade, it hovered at eye level, stinging anyone who stepped inside. I crouched in a corner, clearly hearing the sound of water dripping from somewhere, even though the roof didn't leak. At midnight, crying echoed. Not a child's cry, a woman's, choked, rasping, rising and falling in waves. The sound came from the direction of the riverbank, cutting through the night, slipping into every crack of the wood, into every hair on my skin. "Give my child back," the voice screamed, tearing through the wind, full of fury. "Give him back to me." The oil lamp flickered, bamboo shadows outside thrashed violently. I saw a figure standing outside the door, her back turned toward us. Long hair hung down, soaked, dripping steadily onto the ground. "He doesn't belong to you." My grandfather's voice rang out, firm but trembling. "Each person bears their own karma." The figure turned around. Her face was deathly pale, eyes sunken and bloodshot. She was smiling, yet thick black tears streamed down her chin. "I only want my child," the voice hissed with venom. "You took everything from me." A powerful gust slammed the door shut. I fell hard, my head striking the icy floor. In my dizziness, I heard a whisper right beside my ear, cold breath brushing my neck. "Do you remember me?" Numb. I burned with fever for the next 3 days. In my delirium, I saw myself standing beneath the banyan tree that had been cut down, the ground around it soggy and soft. From beneath the earth, a bruised, purple hand reached up and grabbed my ankle. In the distance, the river lapped steadily against the shore, like a heartbeat. When I woke, my grandfather sat beside me, his face hollow, his hair noticeably grayer. "Listen to me," his voice was hoarse, exhausted. "This karma isn't finished, it won't leave alone." On the night T was buried, there was no moon. As the last shovelful of earth fell, faint laughter drifted from the river, thin and drawn out, like someone who had finally gotten what they wanted. The wind swept through the cemetery, snuffing out the incense, leaving behind a cold, burnt smell that spread through the air. I stood there, shivering, suddenly realizing that beneath my feet, the ground had begun to tremble slightly, as if something were stirring below, searching for a way to rise. After the night T was buried, my village was no longer at peace. During the day, people still went out to the fields, and scattered laughter could still be heard. But the moment the sun sank behind the bamboo hedges, it was as if an invisible mourning shroud had been draped over the entire village. Doors were shut early, lamps were extinguished quickly, dogs did not bark, roosters did not crow. The night was so silent you could hear your own heartbeat pounding in your chest. My grandfather grew noticeably weaker. His back bent further, his steps slowed. Night after night, He sat before the ancestral altar, lighting incense without pause, the smoke so thick it blurred the entire room like a layer of fog. The smell of incense mixed with damp earth and the fishy scent of the river, creating something impossible to name, only that breathing it in made your chest feel heavy, and breathing out sent a chill down your throat. "She is no longer Aunt Lan," he said in a low, hoarse voice, his eyes hollow. "Resentment has bound her body and soul. She has become something else now." I sat curled up in a corner, clutching my shirt tightly. From the banana grove outside, the sound of leaves brushing against each other came in steady intervals, like someone pacing back and forth. That night, my grandfather said a final ritual had to be performed, not to grant release, but to sever ties, to cut the spirit's bond with the village and with the living. Otherwise, he warned, that thing would cling to our bloodline for generations. The ritual took place by the Lam River, at the exact spot where the banyan tree once stood. There was no moon, only the flickering light of torches reflecting off the pitch-black water. That night, the river did not seem to flow, or at least, it felt that way to me. Its surface was flat, thick, like oil. When my grandfather planted the final stick of incense into the mud, a sudden wind rose, biting cold, from the middle of the river. The water stirred softly, and then a figure slowly emerged. Hair plastered wet against her head, skin ashen, her neck tilted unnaturally to one side. Water dripped steadily with each step as she moved toward the shore. "Why won't you leave me alone?" the voice hissed. Drawn out, heavy with hatred, I only wanted my family. My legs trembled so badly I could barely stand. The torch in my grandfather's hand flared up, the firelight revealing a face twisted by rage. "You died because of people's mouths," he said firmly, though his voice trembled with pain. "Not because of this family. Turn back." Laughter rang out, dry and harsh, like bones scraping together. "People's mouths," the voice repeated slowly, venomously. "That is the mouth of humans. And humans never stay silent." The water behind her suddenly churned violently. From beneath the river, blackened hands surged up, clutching at her clothes, yanking her downward. A scream tore through the air, neither human nor animal, but a sound made purely of pain and despair fused together. The wind died abruptly. The Lam River fell silent again, as if nothing had ever happened. On the shore, the incense burned out completely, ash drifting down onto the wet mud. My grandfather collapsed. I caught him, feeling his hands, cold as river water. "Remember this," he whispered, his voice fading, breath unsteady. "In the future, being a shaman is not for pride, it is to protect the living, so they do not turn the dead into demons." A few years later, he passed away. Slowly, the village returned to calm. No one saw figures by the river anymore. The banana grove was cut down, where the old banyan tree once stood. A patch of wild grass grew, lush and green, yet no one dared go near it. I grew up and left the village, but every time I return, lying awake at night listening to the Lam River flowing outside, I still feel as if someone is standing by the bank, looking up at my old house, eyes no longer filled with hatred, only emptiness. And what frightens me most is that on some very late nights, in that drifting space between sleep and waking, I still hear a familiar voice whispering beside my ear, as soft as the river wind. That resentment may fade, but the footprints of the dead never truly disappear from this land. This is where the story ends. Once again, the darkness in the night channel reminds you that everything you have just heard is entirely fictional, created for storytelling and entertainment purposes. Even so, we hope what lingers is not only fear, but also a reminder of the consequences of rumors, careless words, and injustices left unresolved. If this story unsettled you, if it stayed with you, don't forget to leave a like to support the channel, and subscribe to Darkness in the Night so you won't miss our upcoming horror and spiritual stories.